Welcome back to a brand spanking new edition of a Ghost Hunter Watches, and not only is it a brand new episode, but we're watching a brand new movie. We've never watched a movie, but out of the two that we put up, we've never put something up, and usually I don't think we will put something up that's so current. However, when it comes to Ed and Lorraine Warren, they deserve our attention.
Don't forget.
Of course not. The Conjuring 2 is out in theaters. It is telling the story of one of the more famous... There was like a golden age of ghost stories.
There really is.
Where there were families that had no shot of a regular life.
Yeah, those 70s era, the poor people. It's just not a good time.
And because this is a brand new movie, we will do we'll let you know about halfway through this video when the spoilers start. Usually, a lot of movies, you can keep that spoiler stuff out to the end, but this one, there are such threads in the beginning of the movie that become twists at the end. Whether you're talking about the entity case or really any famous ghost story case, it's usually not people going out trying to find something spooky. It's just people going about their daily lives, and turns out they've got an attachment. They are living in a home that has a history they had no idea about. And I think that's part of what makes these stories so intense and so relatable and so scary.
Shall we start at the very beginning? Very good place to start.
The opening camera shot of this movie is, if you're a paranormal fan, you're gonna love it.
Okay, first of all, I love that both of the Conjuring movies start out with the Warrens' most famous cases and then throw them to the side to investigate and more elaborate on these stories that we never hear, that are a lot of times more terrifying than the original case.
Yeah.
The first one starts with Annabelle.
Yes.
Which is a great story unto itself.
I was gonna say, this is almost the Conjuring Part 3.
Yeah.
Really.
The opening shot is of the Amityville house from the inside, those iconic windows.
And by the way, we need to touch on this, because the point of this, A Ghost Hunter Watches, is ideally we have a little bit of insight, even if it's just a little bit, that could add some color commentary to these movies that are out there. In all films, and all based on true story films, there's liberties that are taken, there are time crunches because you don't have enough time to get to all the stories, but there are other, I don't know, little bends that the writer might do to make a really huge story fit into 90 minutes, 120 minutes, which is completely understandable. But the idea is that we want to try to set the record straight, and we have, because due to the wonderful...
we're cool like that.
I'm not. Due to the wonderful Ursula Bielski...
Who is cool like that.
Absolutely. She has no idea how cool she is. We got to meet Chris Quarantino, who moved into the Amityville house after the murders. He is the family. He does some public speaking right now. He doesn't do a lot. He's not the brother that has
the documentary
on Netflix. There's no doubt that it wasn't the house that was haunted. It was his father. Stepfather, yeah, absolutely. His stepfather that really, he brought in satanic ritual.
He bought the house with the intention of trying to contact whatever demonic spirit Ronnie DeFeo claimed was causing him.
Yeah, so he was doing all sorts of crazy things, reaching out to like really dark places, and it was no surprise really when negative things began to happen and really hound the family. And when the family left, yes, the house is no longer haunted, but the family was still dealing with stuff long after. There is a really tremendous scene. Again, this is in the first 10 minutes easily. Yeah. It's a great hook where Elaine channels and goes into Ronnie.
Yeah.
And you get to see her mime out the actions. Oh, it's so freaking creepy.
I'm sorry, but no matter what you believe was the truth in that case, I think the weirdest part about that is the murders. The fact that an entire family was murdered with a goddamn shotgun and not one of them woke up.
And then she sees
and then
this
they get this.
Boy.
I think it's a great chance because they did a very good job recreating what is, beyond a doubt, one of the most iconic photos in paranormal history. That image of that little boy peeking around the door frame at the staircase. Every time you look at it, it gives you the chills. And so to watch that little boy move and interact with Lorraine, when you first see him in the movie, that is the shot. It's this black and white shot of this little boy in like overalls, glowing eyes, which are probably more of a reflection of the Flash.
You see, before the Warrens get called into, and I love this moment, before they get called over to London, you see them doing a daytime talk show. And there is no mistake, and I don't know this from fact, I haven't talked to the director or creators of this movie, but there's no mistake that the theme song sounds like the theme song to Donahue. And there is a tremendous episode of Donahue, which you can find. I'll actually put it right here in front of me, you can click on, where the Warrens are talking on Donahue about the Perron case, which is the first Conjuring movie. And anybody that thinks people are faking or telling lies about ghost stories just because you'll get rich and famous, which first off, that doesn't happen. If you're really into the subject, you need to watch this entire episode. This would be about 45 minutes or so, because you see the Warrens and the family talk very matter of fact about what's going on and what's happening. It's always great to see the Warrens in general. You know, of course Ed has passed away, so it's, you know, kind of a treat to see him as he was. Which they do a fucking great job of depicting him as a guy that didn't take shit from anybody.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, it was so great. But again, this is, I think they pulled all that.
How much did you love Lorraine's huge flowers, which that woman still wears to this day?
Nice. And the whole second half of the episode is just them getting slammed. It's merciless and it's mean. They pulled a lot from this episode onto this movie, which is really fun to watch.
The Society for Psychical Research was the main investigators on it. The Warrens popped in for a few days just to check in to see what was going on, and for one reason or another, they didn't actually stay.
Did, as the movie would assume, they get enough to believe that it's real and then report back to the church, and then the church?
The church never actually was brought in on the Enfield poltergeist case, which is what, according to the SPR, the Society for Psychical Research, that is what it was officially. It was a poltergeist case, which is a phenomenon where the girl's own psychic ability was caught. This was not an entity harassing them. This was not a demon or an inhuman spirit or whatever term you want to use. It literally was these little girls who had so much stress going on in their life and so many problems, and also some sort of psychic gift.
And also, let's say, I mean, honestly, they're the right age.
They're the perfect age for it. One is 13, the other's 11.
And you're usually in these cases, there's a lot of turmoil in their personal life, and
so the dad had just left.
Exactly.
They're living in, government-assisted housing.
I have to say, because I've seen just recently, being at the Los Angeles Film Festival and watching Veliska, which is a movie we'll talk about later, that movie and this movie did a great job of establishing character before you get to the ghost story part, and where you see the kids at school getting in trouble for smoking, running down the street, and you hear the music of the era playing. In the theater, I was actually thinking, there could be no conflict, and I'll just enjoy watching them this whole next hour and a half.
James Wan and his writers and everybody do a very good job in all of his movies. You have these characters that you feel for and you want to root for and you want them to end up happy. It is true, later on, the kids were caught faking the phenomena. So what Maurice Gross's true belief was, after these girls were caught faking the phenomena, was that it started out being real, and as the family started getting the attention that they needed, started getting the help that they needed, that the phenomena started stopping. But the kids didn't want, all these camera people are coming in and trying to get them to, perform, all this need. The girls felt the need to perform. So
there's this entity, Bill Wilkinson, that comes across, but if it's a true poltergeist case, there's really no deceased entity that's controlling what's going on. Where did that name come from?
I really don't know. It's not something that I read in what I have read about it in SPR's papers and all those things. It's not a name that's come up. Most of the time they talk about, the girls could produce muffled voices if their mouths were covered.
I could do that.
Pretty much.
Have you read anything that involved the holding water in your mouth?
Not with this case have I read, but I have read other poltergeist cases.
There is a tremendous, which it's so.
Oh my god!
One of the great things about great paranormal investigation is the more simplistic you get, the more legitimate it is. If you got all these gadgets and all the scientific equipment, material around, you also don't know how all that stuff works. So as a layman, so you also wonder about it. But if you make it bare bones innocent, if there is a bell sitting in a bird cage and nobody can touch the bird cage, well, how did the bell ring? You keep it simple like that, then it seems more and more legitimate. And a very old school idea was practiced in this movie, at least. I don't know if it was in the actual case, of this girl that seems to have a possession. If she holds water in her mouth, yet voices come from her, well, that couldn't possibly be.
Which was a way back in the Victorian era that they would test mediums. There were mediums that could supposedly do that.
Hello, I'm going to jump in and interrupt myself just to talk about one thing that we forgot to talk about during the initial recording. One of the first really exciting things that happened in the actual Enfield poltergeist story is depicted very well in the movie. As we see in the movie, the family did hear loud pounding on the walls during one of the first nights of activity. And in the movie, we see this chest of drawers slam against the wall, slam against the door, actually, which is this big dramatic scare. In real life, that chest did move, but it's actually kind of creepier. Not so much a jump scare creepy, but it slid from the wall about 1.5 feet towards the middle of the room as the whole family was in there, or at least the mom and 2 of the daughters. The mom then slid this chest of drawers back against the wall just for it to slide right back out again. This time she tried to push it back, and it was as if it was nailed to the ground, absolutely locked in position. Which to me, that's actually a really creepy scare. It's a real thing that happened. On this same night, the family, getting more and more frightened, they did go across to some neighbors. The police were called. The police came out expecting some sort of a domestic dispute or something like that, only to themselves hear the sounds inside the house and, just as we see in the movie, a chair slide across the floor. The police did look at it, decide that there wasn't any trickery involved, any real method for this chair to have moved on its own. And just like the movie, they said, well, good luck to you. We're all pulling for you back at the station. So I love that so much of that real encounter, that real activity did end up getting pictured in the movie. The movie amped it up a bit, but a lot of the core of that story is shown there. Now, back to us.
It was really awesome seeing you just scream into your hand.
At the end of the movie, I had no makeup on my face anymore because I was just like, no, I can't look, I can't talk. Oh god.
I had most of my makeup on, but not all of it. What they do well is that, as you start to touch on, is that they really do make you emotionally connected to the story. And also Franca Ponte. If anybody could run away from demons, it would be the woman who played Run Lola Run. She's amazing. I like the original Conjuring more. I counted 4 times where I got scared shitless. Where I there were some jump scares that didn't get me, but there were 4 times where
there's just not happening, man.
We will say go see this movie because we're getting into spoiler territory now.